Hi guys, and welcome back to this Model Engineers Workshop. Today in the workshop, we're going to be squaring the cylinders. Right, come on. Hi guys, I'm the chef. Right, squaring the cylinders. Yep, this is where things start getting really exciting on this loco build. What we have here, this is a honking great chunk of cast iron. Yep, this is actually 95 by 95 square, and it is 218 mil long. Was a lot longer than this, so I've taken a chunk off the end because I've used the same cast iron to make the horn cheeks for the locomotive frame. So there was 8 pieces come out of the ends of this, and I've got a chunk about that sort of size left after that for making the steam chests for these cylinder blocks. So, funny story first. Now you can imagine that this was, I think it was about 350 mil long at the time. Went to my local supplier, explained what I wanted, and the young fellow behind the counter said, I think I know what we've got out the back. Come and have a look. So we trottled through the offices, out the back into the shop, and he walked up the back and said, yep, that's the piece you want. Now he was indicating this piece, because I say it was probably twice as long. Now he went down, did this, and picked it up. Now I can't even shift that. That is heavy, but he picked it up one-handed. Now this was a young guy, obviously been to the gym a few times, and one-handed, he picked it up and walked off. I said, my God, how heavy is that? He said, oh, this will be about 30 kilos by the feel of it. At which point I said, it doesn't matter what you're going to charge me for that, I'll pay it, because if I say, no, I'm not paying for it, you're like more than likely going to beat me up. And he went, oh, I won't do that. I said, I'm not taking chances. How much does that cost? And he put it on the scales, because we'd walked down the shop by then, put it on the scales, and sure enough, it was just over 30 kilos. And charged me $150 for it. Just give me a second, guys, I'm going to cough. Sorry about that. So, yeah, if you work with these kind of things all day, I suppose you get used to picking them up. Scared the bejesus out of me, admittedly. Right, so I've got to mark this up, cut it in half, get it on the bandsaw, and I'll be back. Right, there we go. Block of cast iron in the power hacksaw. You can just make out a scribed line. Hang on, just a minute, see if I can zoom you in. There you go. You can just make out my scribe line. I've done that on all sides so I can make sure that the cut is going square. I have gone exactly down the middle of this because I can't afford it for the blade to start wandering and then fall short on one of the dimensions. Yep, zoom you back out again. Right, so I'll get this going. That's going to take about 45 minutes, I seem to remember, from when I took a slice off one of the ends before. So I'm not going to record that. I'm not even going to record it and speed it up. I'll be back when this gets almost through. All right, guys, see you in a bit. Right, yep, so I was right, 45 minutes. That's the cut surface there, and that's the cut surface there. So the saw did wander a little bit, but nothing to worry about, probably about a mil over 100. So that's brilliant, that's great. As you can see, I've labelled now this piece top left, that piece top right. So of course, as you're looking at trying to work out left and right on a locomotive, if you're looking in the direction of travel, then that is left and that is right. So of course, front of the loco, left cylinder, right cylinder. Now, these cylinders are, I've got to get this right now, 100 long, 90 wide, 80 deep. So that means I've got about 7 mil to trim off the length, which we'll do once we get these up to size and in the forger and in the chuck on the lathe, so that we know that they're then spinning and parallel to the axis. What's that one? Perpendicular to the axis. But I'm just thinking that means I've got an awful lot to mill off to get this down to 81. I've got to take 14 mil off. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop these back in the, one at a time, of course, back into the power hacksaw, and I'm going to take 10 mil off that bottom edge, and that'll give me a slab. What's that? 105, say, by 95 by 10 thick, which will actually be very useful because I'll be able to turn that into the covers for the steam chests. That's it. Right. So I'm just going to get these. Actually, I'll tell you what. I'm going to go and put one of these on the scales. Let's just get a rough weight. I'll write it on the top. Give me a sec, guys. I'll be back in a tick. Right, so that's me back. Just been using the bathroom scales. 6.8 kilos. Wow. That makes that young fella picking it up at 30 kilos even more incredible, because this is only just kind of pick up by me to be able to pick it up by one hand. There you go. Oh, to be young and fit, eh? Right. So yeah, what I think I'm going to do, I'm going to mark these up, and I'm going to take a 10mm or 8mm slice even off what is now going to be the bottom, because this is, then we got the 81 dimension this way. All right, guys, I'm off back to the power hacksaw, and when I get them both done, you'll see me again. Back in a tick. There we go. That's about an hour to get through that now. All right, guys, see you back on the bench. Rightio, guys, so there we go. One big bit into two big bits, two big bits into two slightly smaller bits, and two thin slices. Now, of course, these are going to be the cylinders. These two bits I can use, put aside for now. There we go. And they will form the valve chest covers later on. Right. Now we can start getting some machining done, because the first job we're going to do is we're going to turn this one of these over in the vise on the mill, and we're going to get that surface leveled off and cleaned off, get an accurate height. We need 81, so we need to then turn this face down and put a skim across that face, and that's going to be the port face. Yeah, left hand cylinder bore will go in here, and we'll just bring this down around the corners off, make it look like a cylinder block, and it probably come up this way a little bit and cut across towards the frames. So the frames will be running just here on this one. All right, guys, well, it started at 6.8. That's the number we've got to remember. Let's see what we get it down to by the time we've cleaned it up. I'll do another measurement once we get down to size, and then once we take the bore out and all the bits and pieces. So it's going to get a lot lighter from here. All right, guys, I'll get set up in the mill and we'll get back to it. Righto, guys, here we are. We've got the block in the mill vise. Got an 80mm 5 insert cutter in there. Never used that one before, so it's going to get exciting. Going to be running it at about 160 RPM and nice slow steady feeds. This corner's high, that bit's a little bit high. My hacksaw's obviously not cutting straight, so I'm just going to touch off here, probably make a lot of noise, and then backwards and forwards till we get this whole surface cleaned up. We've got plenty of meat to go at. Then once this is clean, we'll flip this, rotate it this way so that this new machine surface goes on the bottom. We'll keep this as the face up against the fixed jaw back here, and we can then have two sides of the 6 of the block. You can get them down to size. Right, here goes, guys. It's going to get noisy as it always does. Right, let's hopefully hit the high point and get touch off. Somewhere about there, I suppose. Let's just move this up a little bit. There we go. No, there's touch off. Let's wind out. Right. Let's have a look. Re-zero everything, of course, so we know where we're at. No, never done this one before, so let's just take it off in tiny bites till we get the hang of it. Here goes. Ooh, that's way too fast. Let's slow that down. There we go, that should see it. Cast iron, going to be a bit clunk to clunk. Okay, that's that little tip off there. Let's see if the cutter takes anything off over here. Keeping my hand on the feed at the moment. Second, the back half is coming up. That's cutting. Let's have a look. As I suspected, that was a bit... Oh, here we go. Right, okay, let's wind that back. Let's get through that a bit quicker. There we go. Right, well, not a bad finish, a bit rough at the moment. Let's make sure everything's nice and tight still. All the inserts are still there, yep. Nothing's moved by the feel of it. Right, let's just take that up a little bit more and we'll have another go at that. Wonder if I should go a little faster. Let's turn the speed up a bit. Let's go up to 200. $192. Oh, let's see. Okay. Right, let's take this nice and slow. This theoretically is a 0.1 of a mil cup. Alright. It should have taken something off. It didn't. Okay, here comes the back half of the cutter. And we start taking something off. Here we go. Okay, right, let's do another 0.1. Let's see how we're going. It's certainly cutting better in this direction. Righty-ho. Right, let's wind that back. Righto guys, you'll get the idea. I'm going to get this down to a flat surface and I'll get you back. See you in a bit. Righto guys, so this will be the last cut on this side. This is all nice and flat now, all cleaned up, all the irregularities are gone. So I'm just going to take this last cut across here now, nice and steady. We're getting a good finish. And then we'll be able to take this out, clean the burrs off, rotate it around, and get the other side done. Okay, here goes, going to get noisy. we go. One side done. This is going to be, I think that's the port face. This is just going to be the underside anyway. The bore goes through these ways, and then this is one of these will be either this one or this one over here will be the clamp bolting face to the frames, and the other one, of course, is then just decorative. Right, I'll get this out, deburr it, flip it over. I'll get you back at that. Right, so back in the vise. So I took it out, cleaned all the burrs off the top edges, flipped it over, making sure I kept the back here at the vise. Same one, so it actually rotated it this way. So he's just using at least one reference the same. We've now got theoretically 2 good references, as much as this is a very rough machine surface. Here's the what is eventually going to be the port face. I'm not going to film any of this. I've got to take 1.8 mil off this. We're at 82.9 at the moment. I want to get down to, no, I've got, yeah, 1.9. Sorry, 1.9. We're at 82.9. I want to get down to 81.1. That way I'll be able to just put this surface down on a piece of very fine wet and dry on the surface plate and just lap it slightly just to make sure that we are dead smooth, dead flat, and no little machining marks. Right. But I'm not going to film that. You've seen that. So I'll get you back when I'm taking the last cut on this side. All right, guys. See you in a bit. Right, guys. So 2 faces down. That's going to be the port face. As I say, this is the left-hand cylinder. So left is as you're going forward. On the left, this is going to be the frame side. As you can see, I've written down there in my grotty handwriting. Port face here. So that's the port face. There's the bottom. There we go. And so now we're going to put it in the vise again. This port face up against the fixed jaw of the vise. This will go down and we'll machine this. We're not going to take the drawing. It says it goes down to 90, but I'm going to go down to about 91. Pure and simple, because when this goes into the lathe, for doing the bore, which is going to be over on this side, on the left-hand cylinder block, we will butt this face up against the back of the actual face of the 4-jaw chuck. And then we will skim this face off and bore before we move anything else. That way we know that this face and the bore are perpendicular to each other. And then, of course, we can flip this over in the 4-jaw and just bring the block to length by machining off what is at this moment in time the back. This side and this side, they will get done very shortly once I've got these 2 cleaned up. And then it's a case of setting the block in the vise with a square up the side of it, getting it as square as possible, preferably as perfectly square, because of course, like, this is going to be the frame side, and you don't want the cylinder block to be crooked in any of the directions or multiple of the directions. All right, guys, I'm going to get this back into the mill vise now and start cleaning off this rusty surface. I'll get back to you when I get both of these done, and we'll talk about setting up for cleaning up the 2 ends. All right, guys, back in a tick. Right, so there we go. Number 3 side done. So here and here are done. This one's done. All I've done is taken a couple of light skims off there to get rid of the grotty, rusty surface. I'm going to whip this out the vise. Again, take all the burrs off, and we're going to rotate it that way. So we keep our reference face here, which is the port face eventually. And then we'll get the other side machine. Now, of course, as I said before, the actual finished dimension of the block in this direction is 90 mil. I'm going to get this down to about 91, 92. So once it goes into the lathe for boring the bore, wonderful expression is that, then this face will get a final skim, and that way the axis of the bore and this plane are perpendicular to each other, and it goes towards guaranteeing smooth running of the locomotive. There's going to be nothing with a twist or a kink in it to make anything tight or binding. Right, so out the vise, run the file around the corners, get the burrs off, back in, keeping that face up against the fixed jaw, and I'll get the rusty side off, get it down to about 91.5, 92. 92 is close enough, and I'll bring you back at that. All right, guys, see you in a bit. Right, guys, it's only been a second view, but it's been about an hour for me. Last cut on side 4. Here we've just got this little piece to clean off, this little step on this side now, and go along. And once I get this done, I'll bring you back. Well, I'll video this and then we'll talk about the next step, because it's going to have to be a little bit different than what we'd normally do. All right, guys, here we go. It's going to get noisy. There we go, guys. That's down to, should be down to, oops, sorry, bang the camera. That should bring us down to just under 92, which gives me 2 mil to take off. So whichever face, I can't remember at the moment. I think it's this one. I think this is the side. Yeah, no, it's the one on the bottom at the moment. Is the one I'm planning to mark up to put the bore through. And so this will go up against the back face on the 4-jaw chuck. And we'll face off the other side in the lathe and do the boring and all that, so everything's square and perpendicular to each other. Right, I'm just going to move it to the other side, guys, because the next step's slightly more, a little bit different. Okay, give us a tick. Right, so there we go. That's that surface all cleaned off, nice finish. What would normally happen now is I'll whip this out the vise, whip the burrs off all around. You can see there's some crackers on there. Stand it up on, say, this end in the vise. Put my little square somewhere in the vise up against it to make sure that at least one of these machine sides is square to the base of the vise. And tighten it down and then machine off whichever surface is up, flip it around, and then do the other surface. Now, this is a 4-inch block of cast iron and a 4-inch vise. So I've got nowhere to put my square. Nowhere down there where I can guarantee that it's going to be sitting down properly. So what you can see what I've done. I've changed cutter. This one has the ability to cut actually on the side edges here. It's not just for facing, it's for edging as well, whereas the big cutter I was just using is designed specifically for just flattening off. What I'm going to have to do is I'm just going to have to touch off, go across, probably come down 3-4 mil at a time, go across until I get as much of a clean surface as I can. I just need to bend this little bit of soft aluminium wire out of the way. The only other problem I've got with that is this is the longest cutter I've got. So I'm only going to get down to this. I think the block at this moment in time is 92, like we said. Yep, give or take. The closest I'll be able to get down with this is going to be about, let's have a look. I don't think you'll be able to see that, but I can. Probably about 80, 85, 82, something like that. Which means I'm going to end up with a little step here along the bottom. Not a great problem because all I need to do, all I'm doing really is just straightening that up. It's not a finished surface. Just square, and I'm trusting the machine to be square here, so the spindle to the table. It looks like it, all the dials are set right. And even though I have that little step, I'll be able to still have the majority of this base in the vise. That step will just hang over slightly, probably this side or that side, doesn't matter. Just while I clean off this side, this edge, this end of the block, so side 5 I'll call it. This is side 6, so of course once I've got that one cleaned, I can then put that fully into the vise and down flat, mill off that little step that we've been left with, and then finish this to the dimension of 100 mil. So at this moment in time, rough guide, we've got about 108 here in the block, so I can take a reasonable amount off here if I have to, but I don't. No, it'd be easier to take off big chunks going across the top when it's upright. So this is just going to be a cleaning up cut, just so I can get a nice fresh surface all the way across, all the way down, and then we'll send it on. It's on this end up, machine this one off, and then reverse it again. So as much as I've got 6 sides, I will actually be machining this one twice to make 7. All right, guys, let's have a think what I need to be doing now. Let's get that nut out of the way. That's the little ruler and the square safely aside. I need to put my screens back on because this is going to chuck shit everywhere, but as I'm working on this end, it's going to chuck most of the shit that way, so I can get away with just one screen at the minute. I'll just screw this back on. Just use my thumb screws, get it back on. That's it, there we go in. I really should turn these holes into slots, and that way it would be a lot bloody sight quicker, wouldn't it? I have to do that next time I'm having a cup of tea. Right, that's got it. and we're held. Right, so we'll be able to put the machine into high gear because this is a smaller cutter, so we can spin it a little faster. Right, let's raise this up. And we'll don't need to touch off on the top because that's a nice finished surface. We just need to come into contact, get through the burrs here. Let's tell you what, let's see if I can chip those off with my fingernail. Yes, I can. Right, and then we'll just touch off and take a cut backwards and forwards, and we'll go all the way down as far as we can go and have a look at the surface that we're left with. If it appears that the surface is actually going in, I'll be able to just kind of do the top half first and then go down in steps from there. Right, here goes. I'll show you the first one. You'll get the drift. Sorry for the corner of the screen. Actually, can I do anything about that? Yeah, I think I probably can. Give me a second, guys. Hang on. If I flip the screen around, then you won't see that corner, will you? And at least I'll have some protection. Yeah, that's better. I'll probably zoom you in as well. So that's tightening up again. This is again that's cheapy from the calf down the road. Perspex menu holder. They normally have a few out the back that are damaged, chipped, bent, whatever. They're free for the asking, really. They'll be glad to take them. We're glad for you to take them off. Yeah, off you. Right, so it's going to get noisy. Machine running. Change the speed. Get it down to about 300-400, I suppose. And we'll touch off against this surface backwards and forwards, and we'll see how we go. I'll video one. There's no point in videoing the whole bloody thing now. So here goes. Oh, I was going to zoom you in, wasn't I? There we go. Okay, let's just reposition that as well. Get you a little bit of a better shot. Yep, that'll do. Okay, gonna get noisy, guys. Hang on, here we go. Set the speed. $400, that should see it. Right, let's just get touch off, and I'll put about a 0.2 on just at the moment, just to see how we're going. I can raise that up a little bit more. There we go. Taking about 3 mil depth of cut on the depth. Depth of cut about 0.2 when I get there. Listening for touch off. There we go. Right, let's wind clear. Put on 0.2 cut, and we'll see how we go. All right, here goes. Winding this by hand. No power feed on this axis, on the y-axis. And that's it. As you can see, we're going a little bit. Obviously, that cut is not very straight. So, clear the cut. Raise it up about 4 mil, go across again. Right, so there you are. You can see how far we're cutting. I'm just winding clear, so we're not quite going all the way across. So I'm going to continue all the way down. You can see I'm falling short just there. So when I get all the way across and all the way down, it's a nice surface. I'll bring you back at that, guys. So see you in a bit. Right, guys, so there we go. Took 2 runs at it to get it down to be all cleaned up over the whole face. Here's the little step I was on about, because I can't get any lower than that. 21 cuts, 4 millimeters ago. I can feel that surface is a little bit steppy. You can feel the step, you can hear him probably on there. So anyway, it's all gone to plan. Whip this out now, take all the burrs off these all these corners on these. Stand this up in the vise, this down, the little shelf hanging off the back, hanging off the edge here somewhere. And then I'll be able to clean the remaining, hang on, there we go. Then I'll be able to clean up this edge, this end, just a cleaning cut just to make sure it's all nice and square. Then flip it completely over, machine this little step off here now, and put a better finish on there than that is. All right, guys. Well, that's it for this clip. I'll be back in the next one. Give me a couple of minutes. I just need to take the burrs off and turn things around. Back in a tick. Righto, guys. So out the mill vise, into the bench vise, taking off all the sharp corners and edges. As you can see here where that I've just had to literally work my way down as far as I can. Got that little shelf there, which is no real problem. We know how we're going to work around that. That's the port face. You can see I've been scribbling on it. Some of it's worn off. So this is going to go in again with that port face. Like that in the mill vise. Little step is now over here, and it'll just sit in the bench in the mill vise a little bit off center, and we'll get this cleaned off. This is just a saw cut edge, and once that's clean, we'll of course then rotate it around back to that side, and we'll clean this down. I've got it down so far. The depth is, the height of that block at the moment is 100 and focus, come on, 106.75. We've got to get it down to 100, so there's quite a bit to come off. This little step of course will come off first, and then we've got this block all squared up now on that point. As you can, I've just turned the rag over. Let's see if I can get you some views of this. That's my little square on there. There's no wobble, nothing in that one, in that face. I wonder if I can get you to see down. You can see there's no little lines showing through under the blade over there. And the same. God, this thing's heavy. Put it back on the scales when I get these last two faces done. So this is all nice and square now. It's all going to go back into the machine in a second, and I will clean that off. This one, flip it, get that step off, get that down, get it down to a block of 100 mil. Right, well, I'm not going to video any of that. I'll bring you back. Man, that block's heavy. I'll bring you back when I get this down to 100 mil. All right, see you in a bit. Okay, quick change of plans. I thought you might find this interesting. So you can see I've already flipped the block over. I've cleaned up the bottom edge when the step that you can see here was actually hanging over the edge of the vise here. So that should be all nice and square. Again, keeping the port face up against the fixture as my reference face. Going to just mill this step off, which means backwards and forwards by hand. And then we can start taking all these lines off. Almost looks like it's been through a shaper, even though I don't own one. It would be nice to have one, but excuse me, in my little workshop here, I don't think I'd have room for one anyway. So I'm going to power it up. It's going to get noisy. Touch off, just backwards and forwards a few times. Get rid of this little step. And then we can start the usual backwards and forwards using the power feed. Get a nice finish. We'll get this block down to size. I'll show you getting rid of the step and maybe one cut, but here goes. Going to get noisy. Brace yourself. Listening for touch off. There we go. Yep. Right, put on a bit of a cut and we'll get this down. I think we can probably go to 0.4. It's only a roughing cut really, but I'll wind the white axis slowly just to be sure. Oh, don't need to be too slow. There we go, you can see that cut ran out. I'll tell you what, let's go a bit bigger. Let's go 0.6, get this off nice and quick. Yeah, cutting nicer. Alright, let's try it. That's a millimetre going to come off in one go now. Oh, nice and easy. Right, one more cut, we'll see that step done. Take another one off to cut the reverse step, really, I suppose. But that's not going to matter, it's going to go very soon. Here we go. Literally, almost. Right, so let's line this back. Line it clear. Move the block along. I know you won't be able to see too much at the moment. There we go. Wind in, put on a feed. Let's go that much. 0.5. We're taking almost a full width cut across the cutter. Let's just edge that up and we'll see what we get. Move it across a bit more. There we go. Nice steady cut. Let me just skew a little bit. There we go, that's better. You'll see it coming out under the cutter very shortly. Nice steady cut. Cutting probably 45 millimeters with a 50mm cutter. So, not going to rush this. I'll get this one done, then I'll get this one done, this side. And then I'll take a measurement and then I know how far down I've got to go. Just got to get the whole block to 100mm. As you can see, getting a nice finish coming out from under that cutter now. Cutter's just starting to reach the other side of the block. There we go. And we are clear. Righto guys, I'll stop it there, get the other side done, and that'll help. So I'll get this side done, and I'll do a measure, and I'll bring it back and see how far we've got left to go. All right, guys, see you in a bit. Right, so that's both sides cleaned up now. As I said, I'd come back to you, let you know how far we've got to go. So if you can have a quick read of that, it shows we're at 104.4, 104.35, somewhere very close. And so I've got 4.35 to take off. And the next time you see this block, we'll be on the bench again. I'll have taken all the corners off, all the burrs off, and we'll do a quick recap. And by then, hopefully, I'll also add it back on the scales, and we'll see what we're at now, because we started at 6.8 kilos. We've taken quite a bit off it. It'll be interesting to see what the weight is now. All right, guys, I'll see you when I get this back onto the bench and it's down to size. See you in a bit. Okay, guys, that's the last face done. Well, this side, all nice and done. So you can see port face here. That's where the frames are going to go. The other one will be, of course, be the reverse port face on the top, and that'll be the frame mounting side. Don't have to make a decision on that one too greatly at the moment, but it's always nice just to have a plan in your head. I've just taken this out, taken off the burrs. I've done a measure. Let's have a look. As you can see, that is 100mm. Absolutely spot bang. Yep, on the knocker. You can just see that little line there at the 0.95 is just to the right of its corresponding dimension, and this 0 one with the 0 is absolutely spot on. So 100 mil, great stuff. Block's still quite warm, so it might actually go to 99.95. I don't know what the expansion rate is of cast iron. I don't really need to know. So again, we started at 6.8. I'll go and get this on the scales in a minute, but just for a comparison. Where did I put the other one, guys? Should have two. Oh, there it is. This. Oh, Jesus. There we go. That's what we started with. You can see that this is now quite a bit smaller. Again, we're going to have to start with the port face down, get this up squared off, and then we have our references for doing all the other four sides. So, been a bit long-winded, I know. I'll get you a weight for this, but that's how you square up a block of whatever. Could be brass, aluminium, cast iron, steel. Doesn't have to be this big. It could be the size of a cube of sugar. It doesn't matter. That's how you go from an unknown dimensioned piece of whatever to a square block. Always working from one face, letting the machinery do the reference faces for you. So this one's going to go in. This has taken probably about 4 hours, 4 or 5 hours. So I'm not going to put you through that again. I'll do this one off camera, and when I get them both done, bring you quickly back, tell you the weight, and this video will then come to a close. Right, I'm back onto the milling machine. Start on this one. All right, guys, thanks a lot. See you in a bit. Righto, guys, that was a pleasant afternoon getting this second block all up to the same size and dimensions as the first one. As you can see now, they're both on the bench here in relation to as they will be on the locomotive. Left cylinder block, right cylinder block, frames go through the middle here. Probably about that sort of width. Right, okay, this one, well, both of them actually now. Started off at 6.8 kilos, we're now down to 5.2 each. So that's 1.6 kilos of cast iron. We did take off a slice off each one, as you remember, if you remember. And the rest has gone into a bucket. I've got a bucket full of cast iron machine swarf. But there are companies I can get that to, and I'll get a few of my pennies back on that one. Right, so I'll just be back in a second, guys. All right, give us a sec. Righto, guys, that's it for today. Bit of a long-winded video explaining how you square up a block of material for whatever it is and whatever kind of material it is. The process is the same. So if ever I'm making a future video and I say, right, I've squared this up in the mill, then you'll be able to refer back to this video, which is number 48 in the sequence. All right, guys, this is me signing it out for today, saying as I normally do, if you can find it in your heart and soul to give me a like, subscribe, and hit that bell if you to get your notifications for when these videos come out. And again, as always, if you're a watcher, please give me the consideration, give me a subscribe. It's all the motivation I need. Also, anybody watching, it's the likes that really count. If you do get to this far, please give me a like. It'll put this video in front of more like-minded people. All right, guys, this is the chef saying, see you later.